Learn English through story. The Dark Allure. In the quiet town of Montrose, nestled among dense forests and bordered by the rugged coastlines of the Atlantic, there lived a young scholar named Elias Whitman. He was a man of curiosity, a seeker of knowledge, and someone who spent his days poring over books, theories, and ancient texts. His passion for uncovering the mysteries of the universe was unmatched. However, despite his brilliance, Elias was a solitary figure detached from the townspeople, absorbed in his own world of knowledge and exploration. One evening, as Elias was returning home from the university library, he overheard two men discussing a strange occurrence that had begun to plague the town: a series of disappearances, all in the dead of night. Whispers of a mysterious figure, a shadowy presence that lured people away, filled the air with fear. The locals referred to it as the Dark Allure, a name spoken only in hushed tones. Those who had encountered it spoke of an irresistible pull, a magnetic force that drew them toward the darkness, toward something unknown. Elias, skeptical of the supernatural but intrigued by the psychological phenomena that might explain such behavior, decided to investigate. There must be a logical explanation, he thought. Perhaps mass hysteria, or a predator preying on the superstitions of the townsfolk. Over the next few days, Elias interviewed the families of the missing, combed through historical records, and studied patterns of behavior. He discovered that the Dark Allure was no recent phenomenon. It had a deep, ancient root in the folklore of Montrose. For centuries, there had been stories of people being drawn into the forest or the sea, never to return. Each account described the same irresistible compulsion, a sense of being drawn to something both terrifying and beautiful. Determined to uncover the truth, Elias ventured into the forest one night. Armed with nothing but his lantern and a journal, he sought evidence of the phenomenon. The air was still, the moon casting an eerie glow over the treetops. As he walked deeper into the woods, Elias began to feel a subtle pull, a gentle tug at the edge of his consciousness. It was faint at first, like a whisper at the back of his mind, but as he continued, the sensation grew stronger. The darkness around him seemed to thicken, as if the very shadows were alive, writhing and shifting in the periphery of his vision. His heart pounded in his chest, but his mind remained resolute. He would not be swayed by fear or superstition. Yet, as the minutes passed, Elias found it harder to resist. It was not fear that gnawed at him, but a strange curiosity, a desire to understand what lay at the heart of this dark force. Suddenly, he heard a voice, soft, melodic, beckoning him deeper into the woods. It wasn't a human voice, but something far more ancient, more elemental. It spoke not to his ears, but to his soul, awakening something within him that he had long buried. "Come," the voice seemed to say. "Come and see." Elias hesitated, his rational mind battling with the overwhelming urge to follow the voice. But the allure was too strong. Step by step, he moved toward the source of the call, his lantern flickering as if the flame itself was frightened. As he walked, he felt a shift within him. His sense of self, of time, and reality began to blur. The world he had known, the man of science he had always been, seemed to fade away. Before him, the trees parted, revealing a clearing bathed in an otherworldly light. At its center stood a figure, cloaked in shadows, yet emanating a beauty and power that made Elias's heart ache. The figure was neither male nor female, neither human nor beast, but something beyond comprehension, a manifestation of pure desire and darkness. Its eyes glowed with a strange light, pulling him in, stripping away the layers of his soul. "You have come," the figure said, its voice a symphony of seduction and terror. "You seek knowledge, Elias Whitman, you seek to understand what lies beyond the veil of reason. I can show you. But knowledge comes at a price. Elias, now trembling, felt the full weight of the figure's presence. It was as if he stood on the edge of an abyss, looking into the very heart of the universe, a place where light and darkness, life and death, intertwined in a dance of endless cycles. The figure's promise of knowledge was intoxicating, a temptation he had never imagined possible. Yet, deep within him, a small voice, a remnant of his rational mind, whispered a warning. What is the price? Elias managed to ask, his voice barely audible. The figure smiled, a slow, predatory smile. The price is your soul, Elias. But do not fear. You will not lose it entirely. You will become part of something greater, something eternal. In exchange, I will show you the truths that no man has ever known. You will transcend your mortal existence and become one with the dark Allure. Elias's mind raced. The idea of giving up his soul terrified him, yet the prospect of unlocking the ultimate truths, of transcending the limitations of human understanding, was almost too alluring to resist. He had spent his life in pursuit of knowledge, always yearning for more, never satisfied with the mundane explanations of the world. Could this be the culmination of his journey? Was this the moment he had been waiting for? As he stood there, torn between the light of his humanity and the darkness of the unknown, he realized the true nature of the dark Allure. It was not merely a physical force, yet it was a reflection of the desires that lay buried within every soul. It was the embodiment of temptation, the call to abandon the constraints of morality and reason in exchange for power, knowledge, and transcendence. It fed on the darkest parts of the human spirit, drawing people into its web with promises of fulfillment, only to consume them whole. Elias's heart ached with the weight of his decision. To turn away would mean returning to a life of limitations, of questions unanswered, but to accept the offer would mean losing himself, becoming something other than human. He thought of the others who had disappeared, those who had succumbed to the Allure. Were they now part of this dark force, trapped in an eternal cycle of desire and despair? In that moment, Elias understood the true price of the knowledge he sought. It was not just his soul, it was his humanity, his ability to feel, to love, to live. The dark Allure promised transcendence, but at the cost of everything that made life worth living. With great effort, Elias took a step back, breaking the figure's gaze. No, he said, his voice firmer now. I will not give up my soul. Knowledge without humanity is a curse, not a gift. The figure's eyes narrowed, and the light in the clearing dimmed. The air grew cold, and the ground beneath Elias's feet seemed to tremble. Fool, the figure hissed. You turn away from the greatest gift you will ever be offered. You will live out your days in ignorance, never knowing the true nature of existence. You will die like all the others, forgotten and alone. Elias's heart pounded, but he stood his ground. Perhaps, he said, but I will die with my soul intact, and that is worth more than any knowledge you can offer. The figure let out a low, guttural growl, and the darkness around it began to writhe and pulse. For a moment, Elias thought it might attack him, consume him for defying its will. But then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the figure in the clearing vanished, leaving Elias standing alone in the forest, the only sound the soft rustle of the wind through the trees. Shaken but resolute, Elias made his way back to town. The pull of the dark Allure had not vanished entirely. He knew it would always be there, lurking at the edges of his consciousness, tempting him with the promise of forbidden knowledge. But he also knew that he had made the right choice. Some truths, he realized, were not meant to be known, and some desires were better left unfulfilled. As the years passed, Elias continued his studies, But he no longer sought the ultimate answers. Instead, he focused on the beauty of the mysteries themselves, content to explore the unknown without needing to conquer it. He lived a quiet life, surrounded by his books and the people he had once shunned, no longer alone in his pursuit of knowledge. And though the dark allure never fully released its grip on Montrose, those who encountered it learned from Elias's story. They understood that some temptations were best resisted, for the greatest danger of all was not the darkness itself, but the desire to surrender to it. The pursuit of knowledge and power is a noble quest, but the allure of forbidden truths can lead to the loss of one's humanity. True wisdom lies in knowing when to turn away from the darkness, for not all mysteries are meant to be unraveled, and some desires come at too great a cost. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you enjoyed, then please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.